Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of the new releases from Periphery, Gorod, and Suicide Silence. Three albums today that we're checking out, and I'm just going to mention Frozen Crown as well, dropped an album today, but we already reviewed that album, so go check out that review. It's up on the channel. But for today, Gorod was the one I started my day with. So Gorod is pretty new to me, pretty new to us, I guess. They used to be called Gorgasm, and I was like, oh, Gorgasm, I've heard of this band before. But it's not the same Gorgasm that I knew. It's actually a different Gorgasm, and that's why they changed the name to Gorod, which is a much better name for this band because they do not sound anything like a band that should be named Gorgasm. Anyways, I thought this album was pretty damn good. I was like pretty surprised with what I heard. I was like, this is like technical, it's rhythmic, it's melodic, it's got a lot of elements. It kind of reminded me of like a Legion with a little bit of Archspire, maybe some Black Dahlia Murder. It was giving me a lot of different vibes, but it was all good stuff. Breeding Silence, I'm just gonna say, is the only song I have a note for. It's the only one that really stood out to me aggressively. And it wasn't for any real particular reason, unfortunately. So I can't really pinpoint exactly what gravitated me towards it, but the overall feeling I had for this album is that it's really solid. Thing that confused me about it is that 3 of the songs are labeled as remixes, and I'm not exactly sure why, because they don't appear anywhere else on the album. Maybe they're remixes of other songs they've done, that would make sense, but to have them on here like this is kind of weird.
Isn't the title track one of them that has that?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I didn't write them down, unfortunately, so...
I thought maybe, like, it's a case of they had the file name like that, and they forgot to change it when they added it to Spotify. I don't know.
That could be it, but for that to happen 3 times, I don't know. It's just weird.
I don't know. They probably just dragged all the tracks over, and they forgot to rename a few of them.
Yeah, maybe. It could be that, but at the end of the day, they don't sound like remixes. They're not, like, electronic, like, infused things or nothing like that, or they don't sound like... They just sound like regular songs. It just confused me that they had remix on the end of the title.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I thought it was pretty solid, man. I was like grooving to it. I was like, this is awesome. It's got some really cool drumming. You know, it just had good variety, good range. I was really enjoying it.
So The Orb is actually what I finished my day with today, and I didn't know exactly what to expect until I looked them up and I saw technical death metal. So I'm like, okay, I enjoy some tech death, so let's see what we got. And early on, I was kind of thinking more like Rings of Saturn or Archspire.
Yeah.
But then it changed. After the first 2 tracks, it started to feel way different, more groovy, more melodic, and I found that a lot of the tracks kind of just bring something different to the table and something interesting, and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of variety on this album, a lot of freshness. Now, We Are the Sun Gods is a song that just, I mean, it makes sense for me, but blew my mind with this giant drum solo over, like, I guess a chorus. And it just kept going, and it was awesome as hell. I loved that. Just such an extended drum solo. Super well performed. When I heard it, I'm like, whoa, what the hell? When I first heard it, I was like busy and I heard it in the background. I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta pause this album because there's an awesome drum solo going on and I gotta focus on that. So then I checked it out more in depth and just listened to the whole thing. Like, wow, that was a sick solo, sick song. And I'm kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed this album. I've never heard of this band before. We've checked it out, so like a great first impression of just the band as a whole for me.
Yeah, I agree. Periphery by Djent is not a genre. You leave a comment down below if you agree with that, because I have my thoughts on it. But anyways, digressing. So we've covered Periphery on the channel via reactions. Couple songs from this album. One of them I liked, one of them I was kind of impartial on. And overall, listening to this album today, I was kind of mixed. It's definitely got some solid stuff in there, but there's a lot of stuff that I would consider filler, or stuff that I'm like, why the hell they do that? Or what the hell is the point of this? Or that doesn't make sense, or this song sounds just like that song, so why have them both? I'll just comment on a couple songs. So track number 5 is called Silhouette, and to me it's like, it almost sounds like an R&B song, which is a really kind of left field kind of thing even for a band like Periphery that's as experimental as Periphery, who likes to genre bend as much as Periphery does, having a song that sounds like an Usher song in a sense was really weird to me. It didn't really sit well with me. I know there's probably a lot of people that are gonna love this song because of how different it is, and a lot of people really like different things. But that was weird to me. It was really, didn't sit right with me at all. The song that I liked the most, so I'm kind of going from worst to best here, was track number 3, Waxwing. Now I thought I would like Wildfire the best because during our reaction, I was all over this song. I loved it. But listening to it on the album, I was like, it's not as good as I remember it. Waxwings, however, is a super cool song. And the best thing about it is the vocals, really strong vocals throughout, but then it's got this really long, epic scream near the end. Didn't time it, but it felt like it was in the 10 to 12 second range, maybe longer.
That scream was insane.
Yeah, and it also has a good solo to boot. We always like good solos. We'll mention good solos when we hear them. Other than that, the rest of the album was kind of falling flat for me, unfortunately. I was looking forward to this. I thought there'd be more there because of Wildfires, but yeah, I'm a little bit up and down on this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as someone who I guess is more generally into this genre, I was really excited for this album as soon as Wildfire dropped because I loved that song to death, loved it in our reaction, and I listened to it a few times even after that, like, some weeks later, just because of how good the song was. And I'd say the album is pretty good. I do have some problems though, and one of them actually relates to Wildfire. So Wildfire is a sick song, but the reason it's not like a legitimately perfect song is because there's this chunk at the end that is just some horns or whatever, this outro that just doesn't make sense to be there, doesn't lead to anything, it's just there and it wastes time. And the song should have ended when the song ended.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem is that they do this 5 times out of 9 tracks. Now, I think it would be perhaps fair to have this once but have it at the end of the album. That works as like kind of a little epilogue for musically. That works. Or keep the one for Zagreus because it sounds the best. I think it builds up and it's this insane build. I'm listening, getting goosebumps like, holy fuck, this sounds amazing. Doesn't really pay off to anything. Yeah, there's no crescendo, but it sounded sick. Like, I love the one for Zagreus. Now, another thing interesting is, like I said, also mentioned, this album does reference Juggernaut Alpha and Juggernaut Omega, which is a double album they did some time ago. I actually listened to those yesterday, just to give myself a little bit of background, because I remember hearing people talking about that. And one thing I did notice is the event, which is from Juggernaut Alpha, which is pretty much the chorus of Wildfire. If you listen to the guitars, imagine, like, from what you know from Wildfire, the guitars, but slower and pitched down a little bit. And that's the track called The Event off Juggernaut Alpha, which is a sick callback. I think that's a really cool, subtle way to reference that.
Yeah.
And I believe there is a little bit more. Didn't quite catch it myself, but yeah, Waxwings, you were right about that scream. Amazing. When it first happened, I just was taken aback like, whoa, which is cool because I wasn't really huge on that song in general, but when that scream happened, it got me perked up my ears for that. Now, Everything Is Fine. What did you think of that song? Because for me, it's one of the best on the album. It hits like a semi-truck.
Which track number was that? I don't have notes for everything, that's why I'm not sure where it falls into.
So I couldn't quite remember, but it's, I think, track 4.
Oh, it's gotta be 4.
Yeah, it's track 4.
It honestly, I don't have a lot, like, I only listened to it once or twice today. Probably twice. But yeah, nothing's ringing a bell, to be honest. So like one of those tracks that kind of just came and went, yeah.
One thing I kind of like that song does, which is funny, is that they slow down their breakdowns like it's a deathcore song.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool, a little bit of a parody on that. And I feel like this band is kind of like that. They're kind of goofy, trolly kind of stuff with their music.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song definitely loved, and I kind of found that it was a bit of a roller coaster pacing-wise, but I found that there was an issue when there was Silhouette and then Dying Star right after, which are both 2 soft songs, kind of really drags the energy down. And Silhouette, when I heard Silhouette, I was thinking of Electric Callboy. That's just what came into my head when hearing that song. Like, that's what it sounds like. I don't know. I do dig it for what it is, but it feels like a little bit of a really harsh contrast after Everything Is Fine being a super duper heavy hitter.
Yeah.
I like Zagreus a lot more than I did when I heard it as a single. I don't know what I was thinking back then, but hearing it now, like, damn, this song is great. And Dracul Gras is my other favorite. Like, there's 4 favorite songs pretty much for me on this album. Dracul Gras is the last one. Hits super hard. It's 11 minutes long, but it's actually an 8-minute song pretty much, because it ends and then it has that nothing at the end.
Weird orchestral cinematic thing.
Yeah, but there's a few Meshuggah songs that feel like they pretty much just like ripped right from, which I thought was funny. Like, oh, this sounds like that. Yeah. I think one of them is Stenga from Nothing. Totally takes from that groove. And I thought that was funny. But overall, it's a pretty cool album, and I just have a few hang-ups here and there, but there are some really, really high points on it. Obviously well performed, as you'd expect from a band like this, but yeah, overall, it was good.
Last but not least, Suicide Silence. Remember, you must die. Pretty cool name for an album, I must say.
It is, and I really like what they did with the way they kind of made the title track. How the intro track is Remember, and then the second track is You Must Die.
Yeah.
And that's really funny.
So we reacted to Capable of Violence.
We reacted to Capable of Violence, Altar of Self, and You Must Die.
Okay. Right, I forgot that one.
You Must Die was like a while ago, but that was the one where they were rapidly aging.
Yeah, right.
The videos are all great.
The videos are all great, yeah. Some of the best videos we've seen in a while. So I was hyped for this album. I like Suicide Silence. I've liked them forever. I'm just gonna say, pretty disappointed in this album in the sense that it didn't do anything for me. I feel like this is a step down from Become the Hunter. I can't remember what we rated that album. I'm pretty sure it was pretty high, but not Toe Tag.
If I recall correctly, I think I gave it a Toe Tag and you gave it a 7.5 or vice versa. Like, it was a doorstep kind of album.
It was pretty close, yeah. Strong album either way. This one, I feel like, is a step down because it didn't have any songs that made me go, yes, this is a banger, yes, this has got to go in the playlist, you know, or ones that I just want to crank the stereo and just, you know, it didn't have that for me. And I want an album to have those songs on my first listen. That tells me, oh, there's something special here. There might be a diamond in the rough or something like that, but I know there's something here. This one just kind of like happened. And I can't help but think and believe that it's because of Eddie. I like Eddie. I like him as a vocalist. I like All Shall Perish. I even like him in Suicide Silence, but when I'm listening to this band, when I'm not getting those Mitch screams, it doesn't feel right. And it's not even fair to say that. He's been in this band for years now. Yeah. It's been several years. He's been on his 3rd or 4th album.
4 albums now.
It's not even fair of me to make this complaint anymore, but it's how I feel, right? And he's doing a good job. He's a fine vocalist, but I'm listening to the band play, and they got this scrappy nature to them. Suicide Silence has always been this scrappy sounding band, and it's one of the things I've loved about them. They have that in their music, but the singing is not complementing it. It does its own thing, but it's just not what I want from this band. So it's really hard for me to go, yes, this is the Suicide Silence I want, because it never quite hits the mark. Altar of Self is probably the highlight song for me after listening to it today. You mentioned the drum solo from Gorod. Altar of Self also has, maybe not a solo, but it's like a drum break.
Yeah, right? That was really cool.
And then it goes right into this like, it's like a brutal beatdown breakdown, like really slow, like beatdown kind of thing. I thought that was really cool. I mean, there's some cool stuff. There's a lot of cool little pinch harmonics on the album, which I always love that. Overall, though, I can't lie. I was a little disappointed in this.
Well, you know, you said that, like, you wanted this album to kind of have tracks that are, like, super duper sick.
Yeah.
I found a few, but not too many. You know, Altar of Self, I did make a note about that drum break there as well. Okay. That's a really cool moment on the album. God Be Damned is a song that just felt like a nasty song. I'm listening to it like, yeah, this is really good. And I feel like there's like a little small reference to the intro of Criminally Insane by Slayer on it with the ride.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a neat, I don't know if that was, you know, intentional reference or not, but I heard that in it and I thought that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Capable of Violence is really cool, and what I found from this album, you mentioned that they got this scrappy nature, always have, and they have that here. I feel like with this album they went for an old school vibe. They wanted this to sound like one of the old albums, and I think musically it gets there.
He does, yeah.
Vocally, I mean, Eddie Hermida is not Mitch Lucker, just straight up. They're just not the same person, so they're not going to sound the same.
Yeah.
But I do think they captured that, and I think it's funny enough that it's kind of fresh sounding in deathcore right now to sound like old deathcore. Because of the way the landscape has changed for this genre, to sound like this is really not sounding like anyone else, because this is what people sounded like in the late 2000s.
It's true.
So I think that's a pretty funny thing that you've kind of come full circle with that what is old is now new.
Yeah.
But I do think it is a pretty cool album. I did have fun with it. I just think some of it just didn't really stand out as amazing. There are a few tracks that did, but there wasn't that much. Overall, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, so as far as what we're going to review this week, so like as someone that was looking forward to Suicide Silence and was pretty much disappointed, and as someone who was looking forward to Periphery but was somewhat disappointed, we both looked at this Gorod album, The Orb, and we're both like, wow, this is really freaking good. So that's what we're going to review for the week. That might come as a shock to some of you guys, but honestly, you got to give it a listen and let us know if we're making a good choice, because I feel like I might become a Gorod fan after this week. I don't even know how many albums they have, to be honest. I know they have a couple, at least a couple of them. Yeah, so maybe worth going and checking out their older stuff and seeing, maybe just learning more about the band. I know they're from France. I don't know when they were created, or I've never heard of them before, like, to be honest, other than, they used to be Gorgasm, but the wrong Gorgasm, apparently. So anyways, that's what we're doing, guys. The Orb by Gorod. We'll be back next week to give you guys our full and final review of that album, so be sure to come back then and let us know what you guys think of it. Listen to all these albums, including Frozen Crown, and Call of the North, and leave your thoughts down below and let us know what you guys think, and also let us know if you think Djent is a genre or not. It's not. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.